For the Phantom, there is only one girl. For Sam, there is only one horse. It's been 2 years since Sam's horse, Blackie, threw her in a near fatal accident. She's been separated from her family, her ranch, and the wild Mustang she loves. Now she's home again, but her beloved horse has been missing since that fateful day. Then one night, a Mustang comes to Sam. Is it Blackie, grown up and gone wild? Is it the legendary stallion known as the Phantom, or could it be both? Hi, I'm Rachel,
I'm Nova,
and welcome to Novel Nostalgia.
where we talk about the novels that make us nostalgic.
Ns, 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 ns.
Intro music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dance. Dance. Every time we record that immediately, as soon as we say that, I'm just like,
Yeah, I can hear
dance
it.
party. Yeah. Listen to it and edit it enough.
Yep.
I've been doing music streams more, and I'll be like, look, this is one of the things I make, and I'll play it, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
I
Party
made
moment.
this. Yep. Oh my god. I've been doing a lot more music on stream. I've come up with like 4 full songs, 2 of which I have lyrics to. I just gotta record the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics to. That hasn't been going so well.
I feel that.
I'm like, I record it and I'm like, ew, no, I don't like how that sounds. Delete. Like, do it over and over for like hours. And I'm like, we're gonna stop. Do
Yeah.
something else before I get mad and delete this and then regret it later.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I found out I was tone deaf and that's kind of changed my life. So,
I thought I was, and then I realized I am not. I just struggle vocally hitting notes. And
mm-hmm.
I'm like, I what? Because
Yeah,
I
I
was
didn't
like,
know there
for
was a
years,
difference.
I was like, oh, I'm tone deaf. I'm tone deaf. I'm tone deaf. And it was like this thing came up one night at 2 a.m. because,
Mm-hmm.
that's when everything happens in life is 2 a.m. when you should be
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. There was this video and it was like, this is an actual test to tell if you're tone deaf or not. You have to like
Mm-hmm.
answer the question. I got every single one of them right. And I'm like, okay, so what's my issue then? And it's like, I just don't like know the notes well enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I know that's wrong, but I can't like listen to something and go, oh, that's like this note. And I'm like, oh, but you can train that. And I was like, oh, my life has been a lie. It's fine.
See, for me, I just think they all sound exactly the same. When they're like
Mhm.
trying to like do that little pitch warm up thing where you play keys on the piano.
Yeah.
I thought we were all just like joking. I thought it was like a little hee hee ha ha moment.
No.
And then I found out that like there's actually a difference going on, and I was like, oh,
Oh yeah.
okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't hear it, but that probably has to do with my auditory processing issues. So
I mean, maybe, yeah.
yeah, those are probably hand in hand.
It makes sense that they would relate.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been able, like, if you play something and to be like, is this the right thing of this song? And I'm like, no. And they're like, what do
Can't
you need
tell.
to do it? And I'm like, honestly, couldn't tell you what key it needs to be in, but I know that's not the correct one.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I can't tell. I'm like, sure, I guess, I don't know.
If someone tells me the key it's in, I can figure out most everything along with it, but we got a long ways to go. But I'm like, oh.
Yeah, for me it's like Daniel will be like, oh, did you hear the piano in that song? Like, there's a piano in that song. What
Oh
you talk about?
no. Oh my god, no.
Yeah. Or he'll like tap out the rhythm, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, like the beat to this song." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh no.
And I don't know if that's just me not paying enough attention, if it's the auditory issues. I'm not really sure, but I just, most of the time I actually can't hear what the singer's saying. I have no idea what they're saying. I just like the vibe, and that's how I pick music. But that's why I don't sing along to most of the songs I like, because I don't know what they're saying. Or I'll sing along to parts that I can hear,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, no. And then there's some artists that are better than others for like their their vocals being high enough above the background music that I can actually hear what they're saying. But
Yeah.
like, there's plenty of them that don't separate it out enough that I'll never know what they're saying. And like,
Mhm.
even with a lyric video, I'm struggling.
Yeah. I feel that in like the sense of the lyrics because like I have to watch if I haven't seen something enough times, like
Hmm.
TV or movies, I have to have the subtitles on or like they can
Hmm.
be talking like you and me right now, clear as day, and I'm like, what they say? Everyone's like,
Yeah.
they're literally talking about the sky, and I'm like, I don't think they are. They're like, no, bro. I went to see the Barbie movie in theaters, and I think I
Hmm.
missed half of that movie because I was sitting there being like, "What the fuck are they saying?" I think we had this discussion one time of like I wasn't a Disney princess kid. I was like Fox and the Hound, 101 Dalmatians kid.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. We
Yeah.
weren't really princess kids either. Like, we watched them, but I have a lot more memories of watching Fox and the Hound.
Mhm.
Okay, here's what happened: is I really wanted a dog, so I watched anything that was a dog movie.
Same. I feel that.
Yeah,
I feel that.
yeah. It's just funny because now it's like I don't think I'd get another dog. Like, I think I would just get cats from here on out.
Mhm.
I don't
So you
know.
needed the Aristocats.
Yeah, I did like the Aristocats.
That was like always a good one.
Can't wait till the new one comes out.
I know, right? I'm
Well, I don't
excited.
know if it will. No, but
Yeah, who
yeah,
knows? It might die in production or whatever
yeah.
with the
All they
strike
have
and
to do,
everything.
pay
I
their
know.
writers
All you have to do is pay a fraction of your
billions upon billions of
revenue. Yeah,
dollars.
right. To get this, and no, you don't want to. Okay, well, screw you, I guess.
Yeah, maybe don't buy a new yacht this year. Maybe use last year's yacht. I don't know.
Right? Last year's yacht is just as good as this year's yacht. I
Yeah,
promise the warranty is not that small.
you don't have to
Um,
throw away your yacht every year. You could sell it.
Oh my god, I know like freaking middle class people that every couple years will trade in their vehicle for a new vehicle, and I'm like, why? I'm like, it works fine.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
yeah, no.
I'm like, I could never.
Mm-mm.
My cars are gonna, unless for some reason, like, I think the only way I'd trade like my car is for a van to van life if I needed.
Yeah.
I really wanted that. Otherwise, that thing's gonna rust before I get rid of it. It's gonna fall apart before it's
Mm-hmm.
gone. It
That's what
is
I'm
going to
saying.
be scrap.
Mm-hmm. My
Oh my god.
I think it was one of Daniel's coworkers told me there was this guy that every time his car was due for an oil change, he'd turn it in and get a new one.
How's it like to be rich?
Yeah, literally.
Jesus Christ. You're
Yeah.
just like going completely just rolling over money at that point.
I can't imagine what
Oh
that
my
car
god.
payment looks like.
Well, every time he hits an oil change, he trades it in. He probably pays like he never knows.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh my god. I think I have like 600 left on my car, I think. And I'm like, the temptation though, because it's worth like 12 grand to just be like, do you want my car? You can buy it back from me.
Mm-hmm.
You can
And get
have
a
it.
van. Get a little van.
Yeah, right. The only reason I'm not is just because then I'd have to have another payment, and I'm like,
Just don't get a Dodge.
I'd like to bring my credit card down a ways before I put another car payment in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, no, if I got one, it'd probably be a Ford Transit because they're tend to be cheaper to like work on maintenance, easier to find parts.
Hate Ford.
That's why I looked into it, and that was the one that was recommended. Was because it's like unless you have the money to go like Mercedes, then obviously go that one.
Yeah.
But they're like for best like bang for your buck, Ford Transit.
I hate Fords. Honestly, though, and just at this point, I kind of hate American cars. So,
That's fair then.
yeah. Speaking of Ford, we should talk about this wild Mustang.
New Wild Mustang. Amazing. That's too good.
I could not have had a better transition if I planned it.
We just like sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. It's fine. So to the Mustangs. Also I want a Mustang. I probably will never get one. But like you can adopt a Mustang like from the BLM and I'm like,
Hmm.
pony. I always wanted to do that.
Hmm.
Would I do it now as an adult? Probably not. Because I'm smarter than child me and know that I don't have the skills or anything. If I'm getting a horse, it'd be like buying a trail horse
Vibe.
from a dealer and not dealing with like
Hmm.
training and stuff. Obviously, you still have to like work with them a little, but like not from square one. I'm like, yeah, not for me,
Yeah.
not no more.
It's like trapping a stray cat in your house. You're like, yeah, it
Right?
seems like a great idea. And then you're like, why is it
Why is
climbing
this
up
a
the
bigger problem than I
walls?
thought it was going to be? Huh?
Yeah. My house is in shambles.
Have you seen
Somehow
the
they turned
video
on the water and the
where the
floor is
dogs are playing
wet.
with a hose outside and they come through the doggy door? And they like there's like 3 inches of water on the floor when they get there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Oh,
like how?
I'd be so mad.
Okay, so it starts out with Sam returning home. She had fallen off her horse 2 years before and was struck in the head, so she was sent to live with her aunt in San Francisco for 2 years because she fell off and got kicked in the head.
Why? Yeah, but
Because
like, why does that mean
closer
she
to
has
a
to like
hospital,
move?
like where she's going back to, it's like in the middle, like rural Nevada,
Oh, okay. I was like,
and so because she got hit in the head, that's
okay.
obviously like I mean you get hit in the head, like they're like okay we need to like watch
Hmm.
you, like everybody needs to like be paying attention. So she went to San Francisco to live with her aunt because she's close to like
Yeah.
major hospitals. If something goes wrong, she's basically right on top of it
Okay.
versus way out in the boonies. Takes, like 4 hours to get somewhere.
Hmm.
Because she was, I think, 11 when she fell off and got kicked in the
Okay.
head. And it wasn't like a little, like, it was like
Okay.
the horse, like, is running away and knocked
Yeah.
her.
Bah. Okay.
Like
Also,
2000s.
what
Yeah.
time period is this book
Yeah.
set in?
It's modern. I
Modern
think it
day?
got released in like
Okay. All right.
2003. So I think it's kind of based like around that time. So
Okay.
she's coming home and she is with her dad in the truck and she's like describing him. He's like true Western cowboy. Like if you're thinking like cowboy, like that's her dad. So her dad's name is Wyatt and she's in the truck with him and she sees Mustangs on the like out on the desert being chased by a helicopter. Like there's a helicopter trying to round them
Hmm.
up. And she, so she's watching, and this silver
Hate it.
stallion races forward, like cuts the herd and leads them away. So she's watching them, and she's like, "Whoa, okay, cool." And so they're driving down the road, and like they disappear. The helicopter is kind of like does a double take. And at one point she looks back and she can see the silver stallion just like standing there in like the dust. She's like, "Oh, that's neat." So her dad tries to make
Mhm.
conversation, and he's talking about Ace, her new cow pony. He's like, "I got you a horse. His name's Ace," telling her about him. And so then this car pulls up, and immediately dad is like, "Crap." She's like, "Who is this?" And he's like, "That the person that pulls up is Link Slocum." And he stops to talk to dad, and dad would rather take a shortcut over quicksand than talk to this guy.
Mood.
This guy basically, he's just rich guy that decided he wanted to play cowboy. So he moved out west, bought a ranch, and is now like, "I'm a cowboy."
Mm, the worst.
So Slocum is talking about her lost horse, the horse that kicked her in the head and it ran away and they never found it. So he's talking about the
Mhm.
incident, and he ends up insulting her friend Jake because Jake was helping her train the horse at the
Uh-huh.
time. So he starts insulting her. Immediately dad like intimidates Slocum, and
Mhm.
they leave.
Good.
Yeah, basically. Bye.
Bye.
So they get home to Riverbend Ranch. That's the ranch name. And the
Mhm.
dog Blaze comes running out to meet them. He's like, "Hello." Like cute little dogs do.
Yeah.
So they pull in, she gets out, and Jake is training a horse and gets bucked off. Her friend Jake. He's
Mhm.
actually from a neighboring ranch, but because he's the youngest, he kind of gets like no one wants these chores, so you can have them.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I want to train horses." So he rides over to their ranch every day and helps work there instead.
Little. Adorable.
So immediately they go right into teasing each other. They're immediately just like sassing back and forth.
Perfect. Perfect.
So Graham comes out and hugs her grandmother,
Mhm.
and is like, "Welcome home." And so she's like, she goes and meets her horse.
Mhm.
She goes to meet Ace. He is very sassy. Straight up just
Cute.
like sass horse.
Cute.
And they're telling her that he's a Mustang. He was one that was taken off the range,
Mhm.
trained, and is now cow pony. And so she wonders if he ever ran like in a herd with her runaway horse.
All I'm thinking is, like, your kid just was like departed from you for years, and you're giving her another Mustang.
the
Like, I
first
don't.
the first one was, I think it was bred there, and it was
Yeah.
very young, and she was
Yeah.
trying to train it. And I don't know if it's is it this book or another one? I don't know. There's 24 in this series.
What?
And yeah, and there's a spin-off in Hawaii.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
they talk about what happened, and it was like she was trying to train it, and she was like,
Mhm.
"I can go out like of the arena now, like it's fine." She's not on a saddle, like they're trying to like do like connecting. So like
Mhm.
she's bareback on this horse, and she went to open the gate, and she like opened it, and when they went through, it like slammed and it scared him, so he
Mhm.
took off.
Oh.
So it's basically just a like crappy accident that happened.
Yeah.
Um no one really to blame, even though like Jake blames himself because he was helping her, and he's like, "I should have been like, no." Um
Yeah.
so she gets this horse that was, yes, a Mustang, but like he's older than like her horse was, and he's already at this
Mhm.
point fully trained. Like someone else has trained him. Like she's basically like can just hop on and go. So like
Fair.
there's no training really involved. So she asks about her dad if the silver stallion is the Phantom. Like, that's the
Mm-hmm.
local legend. And he's like, it's just a line of gray horses that are living out on the plains. Like he's like one, eventually dies off. Like kid basically takes over. Stop. You go lay down to get
What
your
do you bring
food.
you?
uh Matt brought me a plate of
Mm-hmm.
food.
Oh, he's trying to eat
So
it.
he comes right up and he sticks his
Nice.
nose right up to
Amazing.
it. So he continues talking to Sam about like the horse, and he says that Link Slocum wants the Phantom. He bought the ranch to play cowboy, and he feels like that's like basically the ultimate trophy. You get this like local legend of a wild horse. He's
So he's
made it.
gonna die.
Hey, who? The guy or the horse?
No, the guy.
Oh my god. Um.
He's
So
gonna get something he can't handle.
right, like it's a wild stallion. Like,
Bad move.
what are you gonna do, buddy? So Sam says she thinks that Blackie, her
Mm-hmm.
horse that ran away, probably has his own herd somewhere, like out on the plains and whatnot. And so, um, Graham then tells Sam not to unpack her stuff. And she's like, why? And Jake goes, you're not staying. And so immediately she's like, what do you mean I'm not staying? Like, I just came home.
Yeah.
And so Graham immediately turns and scolds Dad for not telling her that they're going out on a cattle drive, like an old-fashioned cattle drive on horseback.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, she gets to go. They like have her get on her horse, ride him a little
Mm-hmm.
bit because she's gonna be riding this horse for like days. About to happen. Like,
What?
surprise! You just come home. You get to go right out on a cattle drive.
I'm really judging these parents. I just want you to know that.
This is like
Like heavily judging
what
them.
it would be like for a teenager on a ranch. Like,
I mean, your injured child comes home and like gets out of the car. You haven't seen your kid in like years. Probably. At least a few years. And you're telling me you'd be like, all right, bucko, I know we haven't had any bonding. And you probably miss your family. And you've just flown for 10 hours. But get on that horse you've never seen before, and we're gonna go on a multi-day excursion. Like, I feel like you should at least get to be home for like maybe an hour, you
well, yeah,
know?
they're home for like the day. Like, they're leaving the next day. She's
I don't
got
know.
like time.
I don't know. It's the don't unpack, just put your suitcase on the horse energy that I don't like. Like, I'm sure, having massive brain bleed is a little traumatic for your kid. But you know what? Get on that horse again. We're gonna go on an
Well,
adventure.
she actually didn't ever want to go to San Francisco. She tried to stay.
Terrifying.
She was like, I'm fine. Like, I want to stay here. Like, this is my life. And they were like,
Yeah.
you're 11? You just got kicked
Yeah.
in the head.
Yeah.
I'm scared. You're
Yeah.
going.
How old's the kid now?
She's 13.
Okay, so 2 years.
Yeah. She's not like a little like child. Like, she's like
Yeah.
into teen. Like, this is like less than what she would be doing if she never got kicked in the head and had to leave. Like, this
Yeah.
is just like, here we go. We're gonna like tentatively put you back into ranching by doing this. Like, this is how we're
Yeah.
gonna like judge you of like how you doing. Like, are you good? How you feeling?
I just think it's wild to be like, yeah, multi day excursion, welcome back.
Right? So she gets on her horse and she's riding him around and she's like, wow, this horse is boring. And he like seems to sense it and he's just like, oh, boring. And he's like, let's go. And so they like take off at a run.
Mhm.
She's like, oh, okay. So
Very stressed out.
she gets home, does like things with her family, gets
Mhm.
ready for bed, and she's thinking about her mom who died when she was 5. And she goes outside and like their ranch, like there's a river that like runs along the ranch, hence the name
Mhm.
River Bend. And the silver stallion's out there
Oh,
on at the river, and she's like, "That's my horse. That's my horse that
girl.
ran away." And so she's like, she doesn't go out to him, but she's thinking about how one of the things that Jake taught her was like, you have like a secret name with your horse that only you use, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so, um, hers for her horse was Zanzibar. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. First time I read it, I had to take it to my parents. I was like, "How do you pronounce this?"
Yeah.
Because
What?
I was like, this just looks like letters thrown together, but like, I do like the name. So they head out onto the range the next
Wait,
day.
I need to know. Is that a real thing? Like, do people have secret names for their horses?
I think so. His family, he's Native American, and they have a lot of like Native American things that
Oh,
he does and like teaches.
okay.
And that's one of the things. I don't know if that's like a thing, but
Mm, okay.
it it comes up a lot. Like I guess he does it, his family does it.
Mhm.
You have like it's like a connection that only you have kind of thing.
Okay. I didn't know if this was real or not. I just needed to know for myself.
I don't know. I'm assuming because a lot of like she's taken a lot of like stuff from the author lives on a ranch in Vermont.
Okay.
So
Hmm. All right.
I, I'm gonna say yes, just based on I'm assuming so.
Personal experience? Yeah, I don't know.
I can't be like, yeah, absolutely, but like I could see people doing that
Yeah.
with their animals, so I'm like,
I feel like now that you mention, I think I've heard that like with show horses that they have like a show horse name, but then like what you call them every day.
that's a little different, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
kind of similar thing.
Yeah.
Like this is like you don't tell anyone the horse's secret name. It's between you and the horse. But
Whatever
like yeah,
floats your
that's
goat.
totally. Yeah, right? But yeah, like a lot of horses have show names, especially
Mm-hmm.
like if you're showing and stuff, and then they have their barn name. Like Secretariat,
Mm-hmm.
what they called him was Big Red.
I just imagine be like Starfire the Third, please come henceforth. Like seems like really dramatic to me.
It does. Like some of the ones you like hear about it, it's like that's your horse's name, and then they're like, "Oh no, we call him dumbass or something." Like they're like, "No, he doesn't know that show name. He has no idea what that means." You say it around him, and he's just like, "Whatever." And then you're like, "You dumbass," and the horse is like, "Yep, that's me. Hello."
See, in the barn we call him Big Stinky because he makes
Yeah.
big stinkies.
I mean, I rode a horse when I was younger. His name was Chance, and he had been a thoroughbred, and I guess he'd been used for racing. And so his name was like Broad Liminal Ways or something like that.
Okay.
That's what I was told. Not 100% sure, but that's what I was told that it was like, and I was like, that's his name. Like
Yeah.
what? Like I just knew it was Chance. That was his name.
Mhm.
So, but that happens a lot with like pedigree. Like dogs, show dogs tend to have that too.
Oh,
Usually
really?
like Usually their name that people call them is like, related to their long ass show name. But
I feel like it's like when your pets start getting nicknames.
kind of, yeah.
Because Moon's nickname is just baby. In that
this,
voice, exactly.
this one's been Bean. I call him
Oh.
Bean. Little Bean.
Mm-hmm.
So they head out onto the range the next day, and Graham introduces Sam to Dallas, Ross, and Pepper, who are the um hands at Riverbend, like the hired help.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of like, "Yo, hi," and they're like, "Hi," and she kind of remembers Dallas. I think he was there before she left, but the other two, I believe, are new. So she tacks up Ace, and she's feeling confident. She's like, I'm gonna prove to everybody here, like, I am fine. Like, yeah, I spent 2 years away, but like I am still a ranch girl at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So she tacks up her horse and she goes to get on him, completely forgetting the most common trick with horses of they puff out their chest when you're tacking up. So the minute you try and get on, it's loose and the saddle just goes off the side.
Oh, rip.
So she goes to get up and her saddle comes completely sideways. And she's
Oh.
like, great. So everybody has just witnessed the oldest horse trick in the book just get pulled
Mm-hmm.
on her. And she's like, I'm off to such a great start.
Oh,
Excellent.
no.
So this cattle drive is also with Slocum
Why? Why is he
because
there?
the two herds were out together. So Link's herd and their herd were out on the range together, so they're rounding them up together.
Uh.
So she ends up being put at the back to just kind of hang back, learn her horse, and
Mm-hmm.
watch the cattle. And Ace is like, cows. Typical
Mm-hmm.
cow pony. Like, you get them around cows, they almost know what to do. So Jake tells her that Ace is testing her.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know her, she doesn't know him, so he's like,
Mm-hmm.
which this happens a lot
Yeah.
with horses. They do like to test you. They like to pull tricks on you and be
Oh my
kind of
gosh.
like, what do you know? They're basically like feeling you out, seeing what you know and what they can get
Mm-hmm.
away with. And obviously, if you're like, no, they kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like an oversized cat.
Yeah. Uh, People literally call them just big puppies. Like, that's basically what they are, is like big dogs you can ride. Like, just
Love
the way they
that.
are. So she sees Graham in the camp set up because Graham is in like a vehicle, a big van, and she
Mm-hmm.
goes ahead to where they're gonna stop each night, sets up camp, makes them food, and everything. So she rides ahead and makes jokes at the rest of them, like as she's riding ahead. So I don't know what this note means. It says she fends off Jake, knowing that you always take care of your horse before yourself.
Okay. Well,
I'm
take that
assuming
as it
this has
is.
relevance, but I'm like, I think I know what it means. Of like, he's tries to tell her that with the, he's telling her like, you always take care of your horse before yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go eat until your horse has been fed, brushed down, taken care of. Like, that's just like, you take care of your horse.
Mm-hmm.
So the cowboys are teasing her a little bit. Flick more than others. Flick is like one of Slocum's guys.
Bruh.
He's like, mm. So Jake comes over and he's like, hey, you didn't take care of your saddle. Like, you might have taken care of your horse, but you just left your gear on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that. You got to take care of it. That's your gear. You
Yeah.
gotta take care of that just as much as, you gotta take care of your horse too. She's like, oh, this is awkward. Like, oh boy.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm doing so great. So she volunteers to Nighthawk, which is you just watch the cows at night, make sure nothing happens, kind of thing, to try and prove to dad that she can be trusted because she just left her gear on the ground. She's just gotten back.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. I can do this. So she realizes that Ace has gotten bitten by the other horses all night. When she goes for her watch, she's like, he's covered in blood, like he's bitten up. So she grooms
Mhm.
him down, saddles him up, and as morning comes, she rides Ace up close to camp, trying to be like funny of like, oh, I'm just gonna walk up and get my coffee, like on my horse.
Mhm.
And something happens and he panics. And she's like, oh my god, are you kidding me? But she rides it out. He jumps over the fire, like he's bucking around. She rides it all out. So she wins
Mhm.
points for that, of like,
Good.
she rode it
Oh.
out. So they are in the back again, and they're riding, and she's realizing that some of the things she was correcting Ace on the day before is him trying to cow pony. So she like lets him go, and like if a cow starts veering off, he's like, I'm gonna get that. So she's like, okay, go get it. And so he goes, gets it, brings it back. So she's like, okay, so they're starting to work better together now.
Good.
So partway through the day, Dallas comes to her, and he's like, I'm gonna have you switch off Ace onto Strawberry, a roan mare, so that he'll be fresh and ready for the night shift. Like they just kind of pony him behind, but they're not riding him and stuff. So she switches onto this other horse. So they get to the camp and whatnot, and she gets ready for her night hawking shift, and she realizes her sweater is missing. And she's like, where did my sweater go? And then she's like, I must have just lost it, like dropped it all along the trail or something. Like, it's gone, it's fine.
Mhm.
She's like, where else would it go?
Mhm.
Why is my sweater gonna go missing? Kind of thing. So she's like, dang, I lost it. Love that sweater. Oh well.
Mhm.
So as she's on her night watch, she's, circling around the herd. The Phantom appears. So the stallion
Hello?
appears. Yeah. And he charges at Ace. Like he's gonna attack. But then
Okay.
he slows down and he puts his head on like Ace's back in like a little like, hi buddy kind of thing. So they
Mixed
take
signals, but
off
okay.
running.
Mhm.
The two horses take off running.
Mhm.
Sam's just like along for the ride at this point. She's like, okay. So the Phantom takes her into his secret valley. It's like in the mountains. There's this valley he's got. That's where his herd goes. That they like can't be found, basically.
Cute.
She stays there all night. She like her shift goes by and she's still there. So she realizes it. She gets on Ace. She goes back like down the mountainside, and
Mhm.
at first she's like, I don't know how to get down, but then she's like, he got up here in the middle of the darkness. Just kind of like
Mhm.
lets him have his head and he brings her down. So they get down the hill and Slocum finds her and he's like, where are you? Where were you? What were you doing? Like,
Don't worry about it.
so Jake joins them, and as he
Mhm.
does, Slocum leaves. And he's Jake is like, I know what you've been up to.
Mhm.
Like, no, you don't. And he's like, I'm a good tracker. Like, I can tell there's another set of hoof prints. Like, hello.
Yeah.
Nothing gets by Jake, basically.
Mhm.
um, so he's talking to her that he's wants to keep her safe, and he goes, I know you probably have seen the scar on the Phantom's neck. She's like, yeah. He says that's from Slocum. He roped the horse and tied him to a barrel filled with concrete.
What?
Yeah, so he'd stay there.
Mm.
Like, so he could get the horse.
Yeah.
Well, Phantom ended up getting away, but like there's now obviously like a scar from the rope.
Mm-hmm.
He was tied to a barrel of concrete.
Oh.
Yeah, poor baby.
Yeah.
And Jake vows to keep Sam safe. He's like, I'm gonna keep you safe. So Slocum now is watching Sam intently, and Jake warns her that he would totally use her as bait if he feels like necessary to get the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, not a fan of that, but like understandable because if that's her horse, like
Yeah.
obviously the best choice.
Yeah.
So Jake and Sam take the horses to go get water. Like they take
Mm-hmm.
all the horses, like while people are eating and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And Slocum spends the next night, the entire night, chasing the Phantom. Like he's on his fastest horse and he's just chasing him. So
Spooky.
yeah. She is worried about quicksand because there's a lot of quicksand out and about.
Forgot
She's
that's
like,
real.
oh god, they're gonna like fall into it. So they're moving the herd again during the day, and
Mm-hmm.
she's now not in the back, she's on one of the sides. She goes after a stray cow and completely just has a lapse in judgment and tries to get it back to the herd by flapping her hat at it, which startles the rest of the herd.
Mm.
So the herd is now going everywhere. And she's like, oh my god.
No.
She's like, okay, yep, that's, we're doing great. So they get the herd back together, get them,
Yeah.
and they find a calf that's stuck in quicksand. And the
Oh.
calf has clearly been abandoned by its mother. And they're like, this is the thing of like, if there's nothing the mom can do, it will sometimes just abandon the baby and move on with the herd.
Yeah.
Like it's a survival thing. Like sucks, but that's what happens.
Sad. Sad.
So Sam is like, we can totally get this calf. Like why can't we get it? And Pepper steps in and is like, look, I've done like cow rescues on ice. It's probably similar with like the crust over the quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, fine, let's do it. So she shimmies out along the ground,
Mm-hmm.
wraps like a rope around the calf. Either she wraps the rope around it or she just wraps around it. And as soon as she like grabbed it, they like pull her to safety. She's attached to a rope that's on a horse. And they just
Mm-hmm.
drag her ass out of there.
Yoink her out.
um so she's like, I can take care of the calf. Like obviously it has no mother now. And they're like, okay, like her dad's like, I guess if you insist. It's not
Yeah.
labeled whose cow it is, and the like the mom's nowhere in sight, so they're just like, whatever, like take the calf. If you're gonna take care of it, sure. So she names the calf Buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she names the cow. And Slocum returns, and his thoroughbred is like covered in blood from him like
Oh.
kicking it to try and keep up with
Oh.
the Phantom all night. So they get back home, and Sam is doing barn chores while Buddy bounces all around. Cute little calf,
Adorable.
frolicking. Slocum didn't claim the calf, so Sam gets to keep him. Her gets to keep her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just hoping that Dad won't turn her out with the beef cattle. She's like,
No.
I really hope you don't have to go out there. So the Phantom shows up, and she talks to him briefly before he takes off. And the next day, Jake says they're going to Willow Springs, which is a BLM Mustang facility, to look at the horses.
What does BLM stand for?
The Bureau of Land Management.
Okay. Okay. I've been wondering.
Sorry.
Because all I've been thinking about is Black Lives Matter. So I was like, That can't be
Yeah,
right.
the amount of times when I was rereading this to take notes that I'd see that and like my brain would switch over to like Black Lives Matter, and I was like, that makes no
Mhm.
sense. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, we're talking about the Bureau of Land Management. Not, I'm like, they both have the same like acronym.
All I'm imagining is like an hour of the Bureau of Land Management being really confused with their hashtag.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Be like, what do we do?
I can imagine too, because there's some about like the Bureau of Land Management, people going on expecting like Black Lives Matter stuff, and seeing just
Mhm.
random ass tweets about like horses, and they're like,
Yeah.
what does this have to do with anything?
Someone
Like,
had to have made a mistake, right?
right? Like, I think they hashtag the wrong thing, and it's like, nope, they both are BLM.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's just how it goes.
I just want one person to have made the issue and I will feel better for it.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, so the Bureau of Land Management out there will round up wild horses, especially like if there's like low food and water. They'll
Mhm.
put them in pens and then like they can be adopted out and stuff. So that's essentially where they're going, is to one of these facilities.
Okay.
So Graham, freaking love Graham, is thinking that Sam was sneaking out of the house at night, not to go
Mhm.
see a horse, but to go see Jake.
How old is Jake?
I think he's like 2 years older than Sam.
Okay.
He's like
All right.
15, I think.
That's funny.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I thought you were sneaking out to go see Jake. And I'm like, I mean, if I was Sam, yes.
Mhm.
Like, no
No
question.
questions.
Yes. So they go and they check out the horses, and a B. Olson helps them. And she asks how she could claim an escaped horse. And they kind of talk
Mhm.
about like if your horse escapes, gets out, how you could go about doing it. And so she gets really worried about they have an incoming horse, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be the Phantom." And she's like stressing out. So Jake holds her hand.
Cute.
Adorable. So none of the horses in this like incoming are the Phantom, and she's like, "Oh." So Miss Olson tries to sell them a horse, and Dad
Mhm.
doesn't want to buy, but it's very clear that he's getting very friendly with Miss Olson.
Ooh.
Um,
Spicy.
they're like, okay. So Sam is glad that this woman has some horse sense. Like she clearly knows what she's doing talking about horses. Like Sam was worried that it's just gonna be some like bureaucrat that has no idea what's going on. And
Mhm.
this lady clearly like knows her way around
Cares.
horses. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Sam's like, okay, this is fine. So Dad makes a comment that he knows it's not a museum or like a movie like in San Francisco,
Mhm.
but thought that she'd like it. Because even though she didn't want to go to San Francisco, she did like enjoy her time there. Like she obviously wanted to go home, but like kind of like made the
Mhm.
best scenario possible.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't getting out of it, so might as well enjoy it while you're there, right?
I mean, yeah, like you can't be miserable for 2 years.
Yeah, like if you're just gonna make it a negative experience, it's not gonna be fun. You might as well just be like, well, this is it and enjoy it. Like you know you're going
Mhm.
home at some point. Just ride it out. Have fun. It's like a
Yeah.
long vacation.
Literally.
um so she tells Dad and Jake that she is completely sure that Blackie and the Phantom are the same horse. And so they start discussing the possibility of getting him back. And Sam is like, I actually don't want him back. I
Mhm.
want him to stay out there. He's better out there. And they're kind of like, what? And I'm like, hey, that's your horse.
Yeah.
Okay. So Slocum pulls up and he's talking about the Phantom, and he says that he's going to show the Phantom who's boss. And it's like,
Okay.
oh boy. So Dad, Jake, and Sam go out to eat and they discuss adopting the Phantom before Link if they can. Because as much as she wants him to stay free, she's like, yeah, I'd rather him be on the ranch and just be like a pony out in the field than be with Link. Like,
Yeah.
if it comes down to that, she's like, I want to get him first.
Mm-hmm.
So they realize that Link has a planted cowboy at the facility, and it's Flick, the guy from the trip. So there's a cowboy literally there at the center. So if the Phantom comes in, he's gonna immediately give him a call. Like,
Awful.
someone's there. And they're like, oh, great. So Dad leaves to go get a well part, and Jake and Sam talk about her accident, and Jake blames himself because he knew it was too early for them to go outside the corral.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that day he promised that he'd never let her out of his sight again.
Cute.
He's like, no. So Sam mentions that Buddy is in the pasture, and Jake is like, what pasture? It's just, she's telling him, and he goes, the one where the rails are down. And she's like, yeah. She goes, I didn't realize the rails were down. And he kind of was like, did you look? Because it's obvious. She's like, crap. So they go home and they drive over the bridge, and Graham is standing there with Ace all saddled up, and Sam is like, crap. Buddy is gone.
Yeah.
Like, she just knows. And so Dad sends Sam out on her own to go get Buddy. He's like, this is your mistake. Go fix it. Go find her.
Yeah.
So it's like dark. And so she gets out on the range. She finds the calf, and two coyotes have the calf like pinned in a corner.
Oh.
And so she charges on Ace. The coyotes run away. And so she tries to put Buddy on the saddle, and Ace is like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you're
We're all
walking this
walking.
cow back. Yeah. So she has to walk back carrying the calf. And the horse is just like, da-da-da-da-da, along with her. Like, thank you for being so helpful. So Dad is obviously very unhappy with Sam because the calf was gone. Like, wasn't paying attention. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, you have to be more careful. Like, got lucky kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sam talks to Graham because Dad leaves and is like, why would he send me out alone? Like, he's been stressed about my accident since it happened, like, since I've gone back. And Graham tells her that she was never alone. She says something like, if you feel his coat, it's been cold. It's like he was wearing it outside. He was there, like, lurking to make sure nothing happened. That she was never alone. I know, I'm like, aw, I love her dad.
Yeah, that's
He doesn't know do emotions very well.
Same.
But he very obviously cares and takes care of her.
Yeah, that's cute.
So she lays low, trying to be like not getting into any trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And Olsen calls about horses. And so a BLM van comes to the ranch, and it's Miss Olsen. And they discuss adoption, and Sam makes sure she knows that it was a secret, like, phone call between them, kind of thing. And Olsen leaves, but not without first asking Sam what her questions were about, because she's obviously asking all these questions about, like, horses and stuff. And so she's like, okay, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So at night, she goes out to try and see the Phantom. He comes to her, and they meet in the middle of the river. So, like, she actually gets to, like, touch him and stuff.
Cute.
She goes inside, and Dad's there waiting for her.
Oh.
she has a black eye because the horse got startled and like kind of like knocked into her, and he's
Good
not
lord.
impressed. Not impressed. He's like,
Yeah.
seriously? So Graham and Dad have to go out the next day, and so they leave Jake and Sam at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam calls Olsen and tells her about the Phantom because she's like, no one's home, kind of thing. Just talk to her, talks to her. Jake talks to Sam about how he got his license and is like, look, I have a driver's license. Kind of thing.
Cute.
So then Olsen calls back and is like, the Phantom has been brought in
Mm-hmm.
and he's gone like absolutely insane, is causing damage and whatnot. So Jake and Sam head over there to like the center.
Mm-hmm.
And Slocum, they see him come flying up behind them.
Oh,
They're driving
Lord.
along. And she's like, oh my god, how are we gonna like do this? Well, at one point, the road from where they are to the center goes into a 1-lane road. Like, you have to
Mm-hmm.
obviously be careful of someone coming. So Jake stops in the middle of the road, goes to the hood of the car, like opens it, pulls the car part out, and throws it. And he goes, run. He tells her to just run.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the real hero here. It's fine.
Legendary. He's like, I don't know what this is. What's a catalytic converter? Anyways, it's on the road now.
Here's this piece that needs to make the car run. I'm gonna just chuck it down the hill so I can be like, I don't know why it won't work.
Yeah. I got my
It's
license
clearly-
today. I don't know.
Well, he knows cars. Slocum
No,
does.
that's what I would be saying to
Oh,
the
yeah,
cops
yeah.
when they ask me.
Right? What happened to your car? I don't know. So Sam gets to the Phantom and calms him down, and she realizes that he was brought in using her sweater that went missing on the cattle drive. Yeah.
No.
So Link took her sweater,
Mm-hmm.
or someone took it, to be able to get to him. So Slocum shows up and he's like, it's my horse. Like, it got away. It's my horse. Well, in trying to be like, it's my horse,
Mm-hmm.
he opens up his mouth, obviously, and starts racking up prohibited acts of harassment, negligence, and destruction. So they're like, buddy, I don't think we can let you take this horse because, like, right now, you've got some, like, some criminal things here, and we can't let you adopt the horse. Just like what he's
Nice.
saying. So, like, every time he opens his mouth to try and, like, take it back what he's saying, he's adding more things to this list that they're like, look, we can't give you this horse. Like, we can't let it leave because you're a criminal. We can't do that. Like, we now have to investigate it before we can give you your horse back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Nice.
don't we just love when, like, people who think they can get away with anything just open up their mouth and are, like, bury themselves 6 feet under and deeper, and they're like, but I don't understand.
Dig it deeper.
Yeah. It's like, buddy, you opened your mouth when you shouldn't have. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So he's thrown off the property because he goes into a tantrum, and they're like, all right, we're going to have to ask you to leave. How to beat the rich. Just let them dig themselves a hole that they can't get out of. Excellent. So the BLM decides that they're going to release the Phantom to enrich future herds. That's one thing they can do, is if they have, like, a good horse, they can release it back out onto the plains to, like, make the other herds better over time.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, we like this horse. This is a good horse.
Mm-hmm.
We want to put him back out there. So they're like, okay, but now how are we going to get him back out there? Because he's in the middle of the center. And he's been throwing a fit. He's barely calmed down.
Mood.
They're like, how are we getting him out of here?
Me
And
when
so
I'm
they're
hungry.
talking about like, oh, we can just like halter him and walk him out like past the front gate and then like let him go.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam's like, yep, not gonna work. You see this big scar on his neck. You really think he's gonna let you like drag him out?
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. So Jake goes back, fixes the car, and goes and gets her dad and Ace.
Mm-hmm.
And so she uses Ace, like she gets him in the pen with the Phantom. She gets on him, like, and they use him basically to lead the Phantom out.
Nice.
And so they go running out, and they like basically run across the plains, back right to the ranch. Her and Ace go back into the ranch yard, and the Phantom
Mm-hmm.
stays on the other side of the river, the wild side of the river,
Mm-hmm.
and he rears up at her before taking off as like a
Cute.
promise to say he'll be back. So that's the book.
Cute.
Oh my god, I love this. I can't tell you how many times I've reread this book. My copy literally is like broken in so many places
Mood.
because I have read this book so many times. It's just
Love
so
that.
good. I literally put off reading book 24
Mm-hmm.
for years because I was like, I don't want it to end.
Feel that.
And so I finally read that one, and I was like, okay, I'm okay with this, I guess. But I was like, it feels like I'm like saying goodbye to an old friend because like I've
Mm-hmm.
been reading this since I was like 8, I think.
Yeah.
And like I'd reread it and like I'd get farther in through the series and then be like, I don't want it to end yet. So then I'd stop and then I'd go back and I'd do reread again and like get through the series and then stop because I want it to end. So finally I read through and ended, and I was like, well, now it's over.
Now you're crying in the club.
Right? Good thing Nova doesn't remember anything, so we can read it again.
Me, every time I'm like, this is my favorite book. What's it
Right?
about?
I'm
Like,
like,
that's
I
how I
remember
feel.
some of the details.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Link does go away to jail. Finally. The
Mm-hmm.
Phantom is free. It's like, hell yeah. Oh, and it's like, I guess something of like the secret valley where they are is
Mm-hmm.
actually on their property. It's not public land like they thought. It's like their land.
Nice.
So technically they can be like, you can't come onto our land to go after them. So like now
Nice.
they're protected. That's all I remember of the last book. And that
That's
she gets
cute.
a brother.
Is she not an adult by the last book?
I think she's like 16. If
Jeez.
that. Like
Okay.
each one is like a couple weeks. Like I think there's only a couple that are like more than like a couple months at a time.
Fair enough.
Like I think her dad marries the Olsen lady in like book
Mm.
7. She's like pregnant in like 13
Mm.
and then has the baby in 24. Like,
Jeez.
yeah, there's like it's only like a couple years across the whole thing or something.
Yeah, wow.
But it's pretty
Well,
good.
yeah, I liked it. I liked hearing about it.
So good. The Hawaii one was interesting too.
How wild.
That one was really good. It was like a girl that went out to do a program about learning about wild horses. This horse got hit by the bus.
Oh.
And she was like, I want this horse. I'm going to keep this horse. And ended up the only way she could keep it because her parents lived in a city was to
Mm-hmm.
go to see her grandparents in Hawaii who lived on a ranch. So
Oh.
they shipped the horse out to Hawaii and she moves out to Hawaii with it.
A dream.
That one was pretty good. It's not as many books. It's only like 11, and I think I've only read like 5 of that one. I gotta read the rest of them because it was pretty good.
Fair.
But buy it now. It's back out. It's being re-released with more stuff in it. Like,
Cute.
The first book has a bunch of journal entries, like Sam's journal, like talking about things, and it's basically like letters to her mom in a way.
Oh,
So it's just more like of a what's going on in the book, but like a focused take on like it of like Sam's point of view of it. I'm like,
that's cute.
this is so cute.
I
So
love that.
it's such a good series. I recommend it to like everybody. Just read
Mood.
it. It's so good.
But I guess that's all we have time for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure to find us at Novel Nostalgia Pod on pretty much everything. Or you can go to our website, novelnostalgiapod.com. And
Yes.
we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.